I'm standing in my kitchen holding a cup of coffee that's gone cold, staring at my phone screen showing a bank transfer I didn't authorize. $5,000, gone. 4 days after we buried Pat, and my own son is already helping himself to our money. My name's Rick Pierce. I'm 67, and I spent 30 years in construction before I retired. I know how to build things, and I know when something's falling apart. Right now, watching that transaction timestamp from Denver, where my son Ben lives with his wife Karen, I can feel 42 years of family trust crumbling like a foundation with no rebar. Pat always said Ben had expensive tastes. Back when he was growing up here in suburban Detroit, she'd catch him eyeing the neighbors' new cars, asking why we drove our old pickup when the Hendersons had a BMW. I thought it was just kid stuff. Turns out I was wrong about a lot of things. The funeral was Tuesday. Today's Saturday. I'm looking at this transfer and I'm thinking about the conversation Ben and Karen had in my driveway after the service. They thought I'd gone inside, but I was just around the corner checking the mailbox, and sound carries on these quiet Dearborn streets. The house has got to be worth $450,000 easy, Karen was saying. Market's strong right now, especially in this neighborhood. Dad's not thinking straight, Ben said. This place is way too big for one person. 4 bedrooms, 2-car garage, all that yard work. I set the phone down and walked to the window. The maple tree Pat planted 23 years ago was dropping its last leaves. She used to joke that we'd never live to see it reach the roof line. It's well past the roof now, shading half the driveway where Ben's rental car had been parked 3 hours earlier. Pat and I met in 1981 at a church potluck in Dearborn. I was working construction then, framing houses in the new developments going up around Metro Detroit. She was teaching 4th grade at Madison Elementary. She had this way of listening that made you feel like what you were saying actually mattered. We built everything together. This house, our savings, our life. We had Ben in 1982, and when my brother Frank died in a car accident in 94, we took in his boy Tim like he was our own. Pat never made any distinction between them. She packed Tim's lunches when his mother was working double shifts at the Ford plant. She drove him to Little League practice. She showed up to his high school graduation even though she was already tired in ways she wasn't fully admitting yet. Ben moved to Denver in 2016 with Karen after they got married. Something about better opportunities in real estate development out there. They came back for holidays, called on birthdays, sent cards, normal family stuff. When Pat got her cancer diagnosis in 2021, they started visiting more. When she got worse faster than any of us expected this past summer, they stayed longer. After she passed, they just stayed. That's when I started noticing things going wrong. The Monday after the funeral, Karen asked if I'd spoken to a financial advisor lately. Said she'd been reading articles about seniors and financial planning. I told her Pat and I had always handled our money fine. Thank you. She nodded slowly, the way you nod at someone who just said something you find concerning. That Thursday, Ben sat me down at the kitchen table and spread out brochures for something called Golden Years Community. It's not a nursing home, Dad, he said. It's independent living. You'd have your own apartment, but there's dining services, activities, people your own age to spend time with. I looked at the glossy photos. Lobby that looked like a Holiday Inn, game room with card tables, scheduled meal times. Ben, I said, I'm 67 years old. I just lost your mother 4 days ago. I'm not moving anywhere. He gathered up the brochures. Just think about it. The house is a lot of upkeep for one person. I've been maintaining this house for 27 years. You were maintaining it with Mom. He said it like that settled the matter. Like Pat's absence had automatically transferred some authority over to him. I let it go for about a week. The following Tuesday, I was going through the monthly bank statements Pat always organized in her desk drawer, trying to figure out how she kept track of everything. That's when I found another transfer, this one for $8,000, same account number in Denver, same timestamp in the middle of the night when I was asleep. I sat there looking at that statement for a long time. Pat's handwriting was all over the margins, little notes about what checks were for, reminders about automatic payments. She'd been the organized one, the planner. I'd always been the guy who showed up, did the work, brought home the paycheck. She handled the details. Now I was looking at details that didn't make sense. I called Tim, who works as a paralegal down in Hamilton, about an hour south. Kid's got Frank's steady head and Pat's good sense. I told him what I'd found without going into all the specifics. Uncle Rick, he said, how long do you want to wait before you do something about this? Long enough to know how much we're talking about, I said. Over the next month, I tracked every transaction carefully. Always small amounts, $3,000 here, $5,000 here. Always irregular timing. Always from the joint account Pat and I shared. The one we'd added Ben to years ago when Pat had her first health scare, and we wanted to make sure someone could help with bills if something happened. Something had happened, but not what we'd expected. By mid-January, it had reached $67,000. Ben was being methodical about it, which told me this wasn't some spur-of-the-moment thing. This was a plan. There was also the conversation I overheard when Karen thought I was at Ace Hardware picking up furnace filters. She was on the phone in my living room, her voice carrying through the thin walls of these old Michigan houses. Once we get him settled at Golden Years, she said, the timeline takes care of itself. Spring market's always strong in this area, and the lot size alone adds value. I stood in my own hallway holding those furnace filters, understanding that my daughter-in-law was discussing my future like I was already dead. The next morning, I called Linda Garcia, who's been my lawyer since 2005, when Pat and I updated our wills after Frank passed. Linda's not what you'd call a warm person, but she's thorough, and she doesn't waste time on small talk. Rick, she said, after I told her everything, I think it's time you heard about the property Pat registered in her name in 2019. I went quiet for a moment. What property? Pat updated her estate planning with me last March. She was very specific about what she wanted. I assumed you knew the details. I didn't know much of anything, as it turned out. Pat had used money from her Aunt Dorothy's inheritance in 2018, money I knew about but never asked detailed questions about, to buy a place at Lake Tahoe. 3 bedrooms, cedar construction, 4 acres of pine trees, 10 minutes from the water. She'd paid $385,000 cash and registered it solely in her name. In her will, it passed solely to me. Ben wasn't mentioned anywhere in the documentation. Linda sent me copies of everything. I sat at my kitchen table going through papers Pat had signed 8 months ago, understanding for the first time that my wife had known something was coming. Maybe not the specifics, maybe not the scale of it, but she'd known enough about our son to plan around him. That realization hit harder than discovering the theft. Here's what I did next. I called Eddie Kowalski, a locksmith I'd worked with on job sites back in the day, reliable guy who doesn't ask unnecessary questions. I had him come out on a Wednesday morning while Ben and Karen were having lunch with some friends from Denver who were visiting. Eddie changed every lock on the place, front door, back door, side entrance to the garage. You want me to leave the old keys? He asked. No, I said. I don't want them existing anymore. Then I drove to First Community Credit Union, where Pat and I had banked for 18 years. I sat down with Janet Morrison, who'd helped us with our mortgage refinancing and knew our situation. With Linda's legal paperwork, we formally removed Ben's access to the joint account and transferred the remaining funds to an account in my name only. Mr. Pierce, Janet said, I'm sorry for your loss. Mrs. Pierce was always so organized with your finances. She was organized with a lot of things I didn't appreciate at the time, I said. Then I started packing. I didn't do it all at once. I was methodical, like Ben had been with his theft. The things that mattered most went first. Pat's photographs, the ones she'd organized in albums going back to when we were dating. Her books, especially the watercolor instruction guides she'd been using those last few years. The cedar jewelry box she kept on her dresser with the letters we wrote each other before email made letters obsolete. Tim recommended a moving company out of Pontiac, small outfit called Brothers Moving. They're discreet, he said. Guy who runs it is Frank's age, understands family situations. Over 3 weekends, while Ben and Karen thought I was considering my options, I moved the better part of my life 4 hours west to California. They'd call to check on me, ask how I was doing, mention again how much upkeep the house required. I'd agree it was a lot to handle, say I was thinking about their suggestions. The cabin was empty when I first saw it, which made sense. But Pat had left a note tucked into the kitchen window frame, held there with a piece of clear tape that was starting to yellow. The note was in her handwriting. 3 sentences I won't repeat here because they're between me and her. But I'll tell you, I sat on the deck she'd chosen for 2 hours after reading it, looking out at snow on the pine trees. And I understood for the first time in months that I was going to be all right. Ben called on January 28th, a Thursday. I was drinking coffee on that same deck, watching a family of deer pick their way through the snow near the tree line. Dad, I've got some good news, he said. I spoke with Karen's cousin Lisa. She's got her real estate license now, doing really well in West Detroit. We're thinking March would be perfect timing for listing the house. I watched the deer for a moment. March, spring market's always strongest. Lisa thinks we could be looking at $465,000, maybe more depending on how we stage it. Stage it. Make it look appealing to buyers. Clear out some of the furniture, fresh paint in a few rooms. Lisa's got a whole system, I see. And when were you planning to tell me the house was for sale? There was a pause, Dad. He had a way of saying Dad that contained a kind of tired patience, like I was being unreasonable. We've talked about this. You can't stay in that house indefinitely. It's not practical for someone your age. You're absolutely right, I said. I'm not in that house. The silence had a different quality now. I could hear him breathing, maybe looking around his apartment in Denver, trying to process what I'd just said. What do you mean? He finally asked. I mean, I moved out 3 weeks ago. I've been at Lake Tahoe since the second week of January. Lake Tahoe? Dad, what are you talking about? Where are you staying? My house, I said. Your mother's house, which she left to me, which you were never going to inherit. The quiet stretched long enough I thought maybe the call had dropped. Then Ben's voice came back, smaller somehow. What are you talking about? Your mother bought a property in California in 2019. She left it to me in her will, the same will Linda Garcia helped her draft. Linda's been my lawyer for 18 years, Ben. She has all the documentation you'd need to understand. This isn't something you have any standing in. You're telling me Mom bought a house and never told us. She told me, I said, which was mostly true. She'd mentioned finding a place, mentioned needing somewhere to breathe. I just hadn't asked the right questions at the time. She didn't tell you because it wasn't yours to know about. Dad, this is... He stopped, started again. There's $67,000 missing from the joint account. I let that statement sit there in the mountain air for a moment. A red-tailed hawk was circling high above the tree line, riding thermals I couldn't see. Is there? I said finally. Dad, I can explain that. I was managing some of your expenses, making sure bills got paid while you were grieving. I was going to talk to you about it. Ben, I said, I have bank records, transaction logs, IP addresses from every transfer, all traced back to your address in Denver. Linda's already drafted correspondence about unauthorized transfers from a joint account following the death of the primary account holder. He didn't say anything, so I continued. I also have, if it comes to it, recordings of Karen discussing sale timelines for property she had no authority over. Michigan's a one-party consent state, Ben. I can record conversations on my own property without telling anyone. The hawk disappeared behind the pines. I could hear Ben breathing on the other end, maybe talking to Karen in the background, voices too low for me to make out words. I don't want to use any of that, I said, and I meant it. But I need you to understand that I know everything. I need you to understand what your mother understood about you when she made her estate plans, and I need you to make a choice about what kind of person you're going to be going forward. She knew, he said after a long pause, his voice cracked slightly. Mom knew what I was doing. Your mother knew you, I said. She loved you anyway. That was her choice. What happens next is yours. I hung up and walked inside. The cabin felt different than the house in Detroit, quieter, but not empty quiet. More like the quiet you get when everything's settled where it belongs. Tim drove up that weekend in his beat-up Honda Civic, the one he'd been driving since college. Showed up Saturday afternoon with a bag of groceries from the Safeway in Truckee and no advance warning, which is exactly his way. He'd always been like that, even as a kid, present when you needed him, invisible when you didn't. We walked the property together in the late afternoon light, through the pines at the back of the lot, down to the creek that runs along the eastern boundary. The snow was still thick in February, crunching under our boots with each step. How are you holding up, Uncle Rick? He asked. Better than I expected, I said. Some days are harder than others, but this place, it helps. We walked in comfortable silence for a while. Tim had inherited Pat's ability to be quiet without it feeling awkward. She used to say silence was just another kind of conversation. She picked a good spot, Tim said, looking out toward the mountains visible through the trees. She had good instincts about a lot of things I didn't pay enough attention to. We went back to the cabin and I made dinner. Nothing fancy, just steaks on the grill Pat had somehow included with the property purchase. We sat by the wood stove afterward and talked about Frank, which we hadn't done properly in years. Talked about Pat, about what I was thinking of doing with all this space. There's a woman next door runs a kayak rental business, I told him. She mentioned the creek might be good for guided nature walks. Says tourists like that kind of thing. Tim nodded. You thinking about getting involved? Maybe. I spent 30 years building things. Might be nice to help people appreciate what's already here instead of changing it. Mom would have liked that. Yeah, she would have. Linda handled selling the Detroit house that spring. Put it on the market in April, just like Ben had predicted. Got $472,000 for it, which was better than anyone expected. Turns out Karen's cousin Lisa actually did know the market pretty well. From the proceeds, I transferred $50,000 each to Ben and to Tim. Tim called me, surprised. "Uncle Rick, you don't need to. It's what your Aunt Pat would have wanted," I said. "She always made sure you boys were treated fairly." Tim was quiet for a moment. When he spoke again, I could tell he was trying not to cry. "Thank you," Ben called after his transfer went through. He didn't try to thank me like he deserved it. He just said he was sorry. And he said it in a way that made me think he might actually mean it. "I know I screwed up, Dad. I know I disappointed you and Mom both." "Your mother wasn't disappointed in you, Ben. She was worried about you. There's a difference." "What's the difference?" "Disappointment means you expected better. Worry means you still hope for better." He was quiet for a while then. "Is the offer still good?" "About visiting Lake Tahoe. Doors always open," I said. "Your mother would have wanted to show you this place. Some things a person has to figure out on their own, and there are limits to what a father can do. But hope isn't one of those limits." Karen, I didn't call. I had nothing to say to Karen, and she apparently had nothing to say to me. Sometimes that's how it works out. I'm writing this on the deck in late August, coffee mug in hand, watching the morning light hit the lake through the pines. It's been 7 months since I moved here, and I'm still discovering things Pat somehow knew about this place before I did. Like how the light changes throughout the day, shifting from gold to silver to deep blue as the sun moves across the sky. Or how quiet the mornings are, not empty quiet, but full quiet, if that makes sense. The kind of quiet where you can hear individual birds, water moving over rocks in the creek, wind in the trees. Pat would have painted all of it. She'd been taking watercolor classes those last few years, something I used to tease her about gently. "Rick," she'd say, "there's more to retirement than golf and TV." She was right about that too. I have 4 of her small paintings hung in the hallway now, scenes from around Detroit. The backyard garden she tended for 20 years, the view from our bedroom window on snow days. I walk past them every morning and remember how she saw things I missed. Tim comes up most weekends now, sometimes bringing friends from Hamilton. Last month he brought Sarah, a young woman who works for the Department of Natural Resources doing water quality assessments. She spent half a day testing the creek, taking samples, measuring flow rates. "Your property's part of a critical watershed," she told me over dinner. "The creek feeds directly into the Truckee River system. What happens here affects water quality all the way down to Pyramid Lake in Nevada." I told her she was welcome to use the land for whatever research made sense. The more people who understand what we're protecting up here, the better. There's a county planning meeting next month about a proposed development further up the mountain. The woman who runs the kayak tours next door asked if I wanted to come speak against it. I spent 30 years in construction, which means I understand both what gets built and what gets lost when you build it. I think I'll go. The work keeps me busy in ways I didn't expect. There's always something that needs fixing or improving, deck boards that want replacing, fence lines that need checking, trails that could use clearing. Different from construction work, though. This isn't about changing a place to fit someone else's vision. This is about taking care of what's already here. Ben called last week to say he and Karen are getting divorced. He didn't ask for advice, and I didn't offer any. Sometimes the best thing you can do for your adult children is let them figure things out on their own. "I've been thinking about what you said," he told me, about worry versus disappointment. "What about it?" "I think I understand the difference now. Disappointment looks backward. Worry looks forward." "Your mother always was the smart one in the family," I said. "He's planning to visit next month. Maybe stay for a long weekend. We'll see how that goes. Some relationships can be repaired, and some can't. The key is knowing which category you're dealing with and not wasting time trying to fix something that's already decided to break." I still talk to Pat sometimes, usually on the long walks through the back acreage when there's no one around to hear me. I'll mention something I read in the paper that would have made her laugh, or point out deer tracks in the mud, or just tell her about my day. I don't think she can hear me, but the practice helps me organize my thoughts. The funny thing about grief is how it changes shape over time. The first few months after she passed, it felt like carrying around a weight that never got lighter. Now it's more like having a permanent hollow space that occasionally gets filled with good memories. Still there, but not crushing anymore. Pat left me more than just this property. She left me an example of how to plan for things you hope won't happen, but probably will. How to protect the people you love from problems they don't see coming, including problems they might cause themselves. I've updated my own will since moving here. Tim inherits the cabin when I'm gone, along with clear instructions about what I hope he'll do with it. Ben gets a trust fund that pays out gradually, assuming he stays clean and makes better decisions than he was making this past year. If he doesn't, the money goes to environmental organizations working to protect places like this one. I'm not being cruel about it, I'm being realistic. You can love someone without trusting them with everything you've built. The kettle's whistling inside. Time for another cup of coffee, and then I've got fence repairs to finish on the north boundary. Something's been getting into the composts, probably deer, but you never know until you check. A good life going forward isn't something you inherit from someone else. It doesn't arrive automatically because you've been wronged, though sometimes that's where the story begins. It arrives because you decide to build it carefully, with attention to what's already there and respect for what you're trying to create. Pat understood that she built good things for 42 years. Lessons for kids who needed them, a home for us, a family that mostly worked. When she knew she was running out of time, she built one more thing quietly without asking permission, and left it for me to find. I found it. I'm grateful every day that I did. I'm grateful she trusted me to be the kind of person who would show up and do something worthwhile with what she left behind. Listen, if you're a man my age reading this, you probably recognize some of what I'm talking about. Maybe you've felt your adult children eyeing your house like it's already theirs. Maybe you've wondered what would happen to your life savings if something happened to you tomorrow. Maybe you've seen friends get pushed into living situations they never wanted because their families decided what was best for them. Here's what I learned. The people who end up with something real are usually the ones who understood that the building was always theirs to do. Don't wait for someone else to secure your future. Don't assume your family will make the same choices you would make. Plan for the life you want, not the life other people think you should have. And if you're married to someone who's worth trusting, listen when they tell you they've found a place where they can finally breathe. They might be building something you'll need later.